France has defended Israeli strikes on Iranian nuclear facilities, has supported Israel's right to self-defense, and yet the French authorities sealed off Israeli weapons industry booths at the Paris Air Show on its opening day on June 16, 2025. France and Israel had close relations but not friendly. France-Israel relations are the bilateral ties between the French Republic and the State of Israel. In the early 1950s, the two countries maintained political and military ties. France was Israel's main weapons supplier until the French withdrawal from Algeria in 1962. 3 days before the outbreak of the Six-Day War in 1967, the government of Charles de Gaulle imposed an arms embargo on the region, mostly affecting Israeli. During Arab-Israel War after failure of U.S. fighters against Russian MiGs, Israeli Air Force used French Mirages and heavily dependent French on Mirage 3 fighters only weapon successful against Egyptian MiGs. French President Emmanuel Macron said on Friday that the French forces will participate in operations to help Israel defend itself against Iranian retaliation to the extent they're able, but he opposed U.S. plan for regime change operations in Iran. This statement triggered all American, European and even Indian media against President Macron. Depending on its assets and if it's in a position to do so, France would help in operations to defend and protect Israel against Iranian reprisals, Macron said at a news conference, adding that he had made it clear that French help is available for defense, but that France wouldn't participate in offensive actions as part of the conflict. France's decision to seal off Israeli weapons industry booths at the Paris Air Show was condemned as outrageous by Israel. Black walls were installed around the stands of 5 Israeli defense firms at the trade fair in Le Bourget, an airfield on the outskirts of Paris. The booths displayed offensive weapons that could be used in Gaza, in violation of agreements with Israeli authorities, a French government source was quoted as saying by the French news agency AFP. However, what is curious is that the French government has not given its exact definition of offensive weapon. The companies, Israel Aerospace Industries, IAI, Rafael, Avision, Elbit, and Aeronautics, manufacture drones, guided bombs, and missiles. An Israeli exhibitor wrote a message in yellow chalk on one of the walls, saying the hidden defense systems are protecting the state of Israel these days. The French government, in the name of discrimination, is trying to hide them from you. Meanwhile, French Prime Minister François Bayrou defended the decision during a press conference at the air show. The French government's position was very simple: no offensive weapons at the arms exposition, he said. Defensive weapons were perfectly acceptable. France has Europe's highest Muslim population, both in terms of percentage and in absolute numbers as well. According to a 2016 Pew Research survey, France has a nearly 8.8% Muslim population, which is one of the highest in Europe, only behind Bulgaria's 11.10%. According to different estimates, France is home to between 6 to 9 million Muslims, making it one of the biggest Muslim minority populations in Europe. Israel's 20-month-long war in Gaza has sharply divided public opinion in France, especially in the significant Muslim minority population. Meanwhile, Israel's war with Iran has further intensified anti-Israel sentiments among a certain section of society. Balancing these conflicting sentiments at home is a challenging task for the French administration, which perhaps explains France's paradoxical positions on Israel and its artificial demarcation between offensive and defensive. The presence of Israeli firms at Le Bourget, though smaller than in the past, was already a source of tension before the start of the Paris Air Show, because of the conflict in Gaza. The war in Iran exacerbated the situation. A French court last week rejected a bid by NGOs to ban Israeli companies from Le Bourget over concerns about international crimes. Amir Baram, a general in the Israeli Defense Ministry, called the French decision anti-Semitic, adding Israel would challenge the move in French courts. The show's organizers said that a dialogue was underway to find a positive resolution. The Israeli Defense Ministry said in a statement that the outrageous and unprecedented decision reeks of policy-driven and commercial considerations. The French are hiding behind supposedly political considerations to exclude Israeli offensive weapons from an international exhibition, weapons that compete with French industries, it said. This is particularly striking given Israeli technology's impressive and precise performance in Iran. Israel launched surprise strikes on Iranian military and nuclear sites on Friday, killing top commanders and scientists, prompting Tehran to hit back with a barrage of missiles. Notably, this isn't the first time France has blocked Israeli defense firms from defense exhibitions in the last year, citing the war situation in Gaza. In June last year, the French government banned Israeli companies from participating in Eurosatory 2024, citing Israel's military operations in Rafah, Gaza, as the reason. Initially, 74 Israeli firms were set to participate. Similarly, the French government initially barred 7 Israeli firms from exhibiting at Euronaval 2024, again due to geopolitical concerns over Israel's actions in Gaza and Lebanon. However, the Paris Commercial Court overturned this ban on October 31, 2024, allowing Israeli companies to participate. Paradoxically, despite the blocking of Israeli defense firms from these European defense exhibitions, Israeli arms exports to Europe have nearly doubled in the last year. Europe is an important market for Israeli weapons. According to the Israeli Defense Ministry, Europe was the biggest market for Israeli weapons in 2024, accounting for as much as 54% of Israel's defense exports. In 2023, Europe accounted for 35% of Israeli arms exports. In 2024, European states bought nearly $8 billion United States dollars worth of Israeli military products, compared to $4.6 billion United States dollars in 2023, according to the Ministry of Defense. Israel's historic deal with Germany for the Arrow 3 air defense system contributed a major chunk of these arms sales. The Israel Aerospace Industries signed a $3.8 billion United States dollars agreement with Germany for the Arrow 3 missile defense system, marking the largest defense deal in Israeli history. Notably, Israel is the second largest arms exporter to the UK and Germany. According to SIPRI, during the period from 2020 to 2024, Israel supplied 13% of Germany's arms imports and nearly 7% of the UK's arms imports.